Donald Trump returns to Iowa today as he tries for a return to the White House in 2024. Iowa's News Now State House reporter Skylar Tallal got a few minutes with him during his time in Grimes this afternoon. Here's some of that interview from the campaign trail.
Donald Trump is back in the Hawkeye State, making several stops across central Iowa. I was able to speak with the former president, where we talked Iowa caucuses and inflation.
Iowa would not be one if it weren't for me. I kept Iowa one. And there were a lot of people that said, you know, we'll do what the Democrats did. And I said, no, we're not doing that. And I kept Iowa single-handedly. I kept Iowa number one.
Trump spoke on the Iowa bill, which was signed into law Thursday, requiring in-person caucusing. He says Iowa is looking to keep caucus integrity. And he also takes a look at an issue on many Iowans' minds, the economy. One thing you mentioned was bringing down inflation. What are your plans to do that?
Well, one thing we're going to do is drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the oil because right now energy is so expensive. People can't afford it. They can't afford it. We're going to get a lot of energy just like we had. We had it down to $1.87.
During Trump's second stop of the day at a church in Des Moines, he had a private lunch with faith leaders. He said they were very thankful for the work he did, which led to the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and feels he has their total support.
We have to protect religion. We have to have religious liberty. You know, it's two words that are not being used very much anymore, and we have to bring it back, and we will. But we had a really good luncheon with faith leaders, the faith leaders of Iowa.
With news of his former Vice President Mike Pence planning to enter the GOP presidential race, Trump wishes him luck and hopes he ends up entering. In Des Moines, Skylar Tallal reporting. All eyes on Iowa Saturday as GOP presidential candidates flock to the Iowa State Fairgrounds for Senator Joni Ernst Roast and Ride event. Not wanting to miss the political action, hundreds of Iowans sit, talk, and shake hands with presidential hopefuls.
The radical left is trying to change our nation.
The Saturday event, which raises money for the Freedom Foundation, a veterans group out of Cedar Rapids, is also a chance for Iowans to hear from Republican candidates. Each presidential hopeful was given 10 minutes to speak, many focusing on the economy.
I have a few specific ideas. We need to cut the federal non-defense workforce by 10%. I'll do that as president. We did it in Arkansas.
Others pointing out what they would do if elected.
Number one, we will be on a path to start balancing the budget. Never again will a minor have transition therapy.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley points out an issue she believes to be the biggest threat to women's rights.
The idea that we have biological boys playing in girls' sports is the biggest women's issue of our time, and we should be fighting that every day.
Criticizing Biden's work as president, former VP Mike Pence says he has the solution.
But the answer, Iowa, is strong, conservative, Republican leadership back in the White House.
The newest candidate to enter an already competitive GOP race, Ron DeSantis, gave a speech similar to the one during his campaign kickoff, where he focuses on his track record as Florida's governor and what he plans to do if he ends up in the White House. But before the event even kicked off, he responds to questions about former President Donald Trump not attending the Roast and Ride.
I'm just happy to be here. I love the people here. I think this is a great event, and there's a lot of friends now that we've developed, but we'll make a lot more friends.
Other candidates, including Tim Scott, Larry Elder, and Vivek Ramaswamy, were also in attendance. In Des Moines, Skylar Tallal reporting.
Iowa's News Now's Skylar Tallal got a chance to ask the former president a question or two as he made his way through the fairgrounds.
Competing for the spotlight, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis both appearing at the Iowa State Fair on Saturday, but each taking a different approach. Trump was met with a large crowd as he made his way through the fair, but instead of participating in the Des Moines Register's political soapbox or joining Governor Reynolds for her new Fairside chats, like many of the other GOP candidates, Trump spent his time at the fair walking through crowds, meeting with Iowans and signing autographs.
We did a job for Iowa that nobody could do, the farm places. I mean, we have, you take a look at the kind of money we took in, $28 billion from China and gave that to our farmers, so all over the country. So they like Trump, and I like them.
Trump stopped at the pork tent before speaking with Florida and Texas legislators, but one thing he was missing was Iowa leaders.
Do you have any concern from the support he's getting from Iowa legislators?
We've gotten great support. We have with us most of the Congress people from Florida. We have I mean, more importantly than anything right now, I guess we're up 50 points in Iowa, 5-0.
On the other hand, DeSantis appeared with many Iowa legislators like Senator Joni Ernst and Zach Nunn. And while he opted out of taking part in the longtime tradition of the political soapbox, he did take the stage with Governor Reynolds.
We need an economy where middle-class families have a chance to get ahead again. We need a secure southern border. We can't let the drug cartels keep eating our lunch. We need to ensure that we rein in this out-of-control federal bureaucracy.
DeSantis spent most of his day at the fair, taking part in typical fair activities like bumper cars with his kids and seeing the butter cow. He also grilled up some pork chops for hungry fairgoers.
Going into here, my favorite food between my kids and I, we always do the fried Oreos, and so I'll probably do that again.
You can't go wrong with anything on a stick.
While DeSantis seems to have drawn in a decent crowd of Iowans during his stop, Trump supporters showed up in droves for a chance to see the former president in person.
I love them and they love me. That's a good combination. Thank you very much.
In Des Moines, Skylar Twell reporting. GOP candidate Vivek Ramaswamy is climbing in the polls and was a pretty clear target in the first presidential debate. Now back in the Hawkeye state, Ramaswamy is looking to gain more traction with Iowa voters. In Pella, Ramaswamy packs the room at Butcher's Brew Heist, even turning people away after reaching capacity. Making his entrance with Iowa Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, he lays out 10 bullet points, which he's calling his truth.
We're speaking the truth without apology. God is real. That's right. There are two genders. How about that one? Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. It's the truth.
Iowans showing support throughout his speech and following up with questions.
So I know that when Reagan ran, he ran on the platform of wanting to get rid of the Department of Education as well. How many steps removed is the president from being able to do that?
So here's the answer. None.
After meeting Ramaswamy, Dr. Evelyn Nickel, a longtime GOP caucus goer, says she likes what she sees.
He's America first, family, God. I mean, he is what America is all about and what we all want back.
The Pella resident, initially a Trump supporter, is now caucusing for the 38-year-old candidate. She says Ramaswamy is similar to Trump, but without all the baggage.
Trump is awesome and he did a fantastic job, but he's got so much baggage and so many people they either hate him or they love him. And that brings that divisiveness, which we can't afford to have anymore. We've got to have the unity. And so I'm leaning towards someone who can do that.
In Pella, Skylar Twell reporting. Former President Donald Trump calling Florida's 6-week abortion ban a terrible thing and a terrible mistake in a recent interview with NBC's Meet the Press. Now he's receiving some backlash from the pro-life community. Governor Kim Reynolds criticizing Trump's comments and firing back. It's never a terrible thing to protect innocent life. She says she's proud to have signed Iowa's so-called fetal heartbeat law back in 2018 and again this past summer. In the past, evangelical voters have been in favor of Trump, whose appointments to the Supreme Court led to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, a major policy issue for evangelicals. And with the demographic playing a crucial role in the GOP caucuses, there could be some impact come caucus night.
Making comments like that could actually hurt his standing, particularly in places like Iowa, where you have a large contingent of evangelical voters who are very concerned about the pro-life movement.
On the campaign trail, Trump has limited his talk on abortion, mentioning the issue didn't resonate with voters during the 2022 midterms like Republicans had hoped. But candidates at the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition's event this past weekend saw major support from Iowans when floating the idea of a federal abortion ban.
I think that for, a few sort of real true believers on the pro-life side, that there might be, some modest gains for someone like DeSantis or Ramaswamy or something like that.
Yet the former president is leading the polls by a large margin and still has a strong base in the Hawkeye state. A Dubuque resident attending Trump's Wednesday event says this is a non-issue for them.
I think that his base is sold on him and his base is not backing down, and it doesn't matter what kind of little division that certain people try to push to cause division or cause people to turn their back on Trump is going to work.
In Des Moines, Skylar Twell reporting.
Iowa's News Now State House reporter Skylar Twell is following Haley's push on the campaign trail.
Presidential hopeful Nikki Haley looks to keep up her momentum in Iowa after picking up steam in New Hampshire. Now she's putting more boots on the ground with her first Iowa campaign headquarters in Clive.
Republicans have lost the last 7 out of 8 popular votes for president. That is nothing to be proud of.
Gaining support after her 2 debate performances, Haley's getting flack from frontrunner Donald Trump, with the former president calling her bird brain Nikki Haley on his Truth Social. But Haley's embracing the criticism, saying it means we're in second and moving up fast.
We should want to win the majority of Americans. But the only way we're going to do that is when we start to focus and look at the fact that we have got to have a new generational leader.
During Monday's event in Boone, Iowa, she commented on the feud in D.C. over the search for a new House Speaker.
When we see Democrat chaos, you don't chase Democrat chaos with Republican chaos. That's not the solution.
And with Israel now declaring war against Hamas, Haley tells the crowd of more than 50 Iowans that America needs Israel.
And so the way we have to deal with this is with strength, is united, and is to understand also that the first thing we have to do is no more taxpayer money going to Palestinians or any of the Palestinian organizations that support Hamas at the United Nations.
In Boone, Skylar Talal reporting.
As Iowa's News Now State House reporter Skylar Talal highlights his strategy in the Hawkeye State.
Many GOP presidential hopefuls are turning their focus to Iowa, something Ron DeSantis says he's been doing since the beginning. Still working on completing his 99-county tour of the state, the governor of Florida feels he's in a good position with GOP caucus goers.
I think that you have the vast majority of the voters who are going to caucus in Iowa are going to want a fresh candidate. And so I think we're going to be the one that's going to be able to harness that support and get the job done on caucus night.
Iowa Attorney General Brenna Byrd's endorsement of former President Donald Trump makes her the only Republican holding statewide office to officially throw their support behind a candidate. Governor Kim Reynolds, originally vowing to stay neutral, now says she's not ruling it out.
It's not out of the realm. I kind of said that. I wanted to make sure that all of our candidates felt welcomed. I don't have any specific timeline on that, but I haven't ruled it out.
DeSantis didn't say whether he's talked with the governor about potentially getting her support, but does feel the endorsement would be a huge win for him.
Obviously, I would love to have her support, formal support. I think it'd be very, very meaningful.
DeSantis, still trailing behind frontrunner Donald Trump in the polls, says focusing on Trump's indictments is a losing battle for Republicans.
If the election's framed about the issues the American people care about, we will win. If the election's framed about all these other issues from the past, that is absolutely going to help Democrats. I don't think there's any question about it.
In a couple weeks, DeSantis plans to take the stage in Miami for the GOP's third debate, and he's calling on the former president to show up this time. He's also urging the RNC to hold a fourth debate in Iowa.
You may have some Iowa-specific things that some of the Iowans care about, and that's really what the RNC should be doing. So you can put me in favor of bringing the next RNC debate or one of the ones between now and the Iowa caucus to the state of Iowa. I think it'd be good for the process.
In Des Moines, Skylar Talal reporting.
Iowa's News Now State House reporter Skylar Talal is digging deeper into the debate.
Bob Vander Plaats's endorsement is probably pretty important to the extent that he's considered a leader among social conservatives and evangelicals.
The Iowa evangelical leader, Bob Vander Plaats, throwing his support behind Ron DeSantis in hopes of consolidating Iowa's Christian vote behind him. Taylor Collins, an Iowa legislator also endorsing the Florida governor, says Vander Plaats picks winners and feels the needle is already moving in DeSantis' favor.
The fact is Bob is very well respected amongst the evangelical community, and I think he's ultimately going to give DeSantis the momentum, especially after the endorsement of Governor Reynolds, that really DeSantis needs to coalesce and bring together the evangelical vote here in Iowa.
Vander Plaats' endorsements in 2008, 2012, and 2016 proved semi-successful, all winning the Iowa caucuses, although none of them won the nomination. And State Rep Bobby Kaufman, a senior advisor for Trump's Iowa campaign, argues Vander Plaats is irrelevant in Iowa politics, and support from him won't be enough to turn evangelical voters away from Trump.
He is truly an irrelevant grifter. I know he likes to take credit for campaigns that have succeeded in the past with his support. Those things are not mutually exclusive. The candidates that have done well in the past have won because of their good work, not anything to do with Bob Bannon.
While DeSantis snags those coveted endorsements from Vanderplatz and Governor Reynolds, it's still an uphill battle as he trails frontrunner Donald Trump by double digits. But one important thing to note, anything can happen come caucus night.
The last Iowa poll showed that there were a lot of people that were still considering other candidates, even if they sort of leaning one particular way. And so a lot of those folks will make those final decisions. And of course, the decision as to whether to turn out on caucus night.
In Des Moines, Skylar Tulal reporting. Americans for Prosperity is a national conservative group now backing Nikki Haley in a race for the White House. The group is active in Iowa, especially here at the state capitol, where we've seen them lobby for conservative policy during the legislative session.
I think where she differs so much from the rest of the field is that she's moderate in her temperament. She is likable. She's approachable. She is the thing that people are getting tired of in American politics. She is the solution to that problem.
The network, backed by the billionaire Koch brothers, says the endorsement comes after months of analyzing the race, looking for a strong enough candidate to beat frontrunner Donald Trump. With Haley and DeSantis neck and neck in Iowa, they felt Haley's policies and recent boost in the polls puts her in the best position to win.
We love Governor DeSantis for a lot of the things that he's been able to accomplish in Florida. But what became apparent is his poll numbers are stagnant, and we just couldn't get to a point where we could say, yeah, we can make a difference in that race.
Americans for Prosperity has boots on the ground in Iowa, already knocking on more than 300,000 doors. Now those resources will be directed towards advocating for Nikki Haley.
Also, if they've got additional people for their ground game, so phone calling, door knocking, whatever it happens to be. But again, money is probably pretty important too. So those kinds of things will help to turn out voters sort of in an indirect way.
The network has 10 employees on their payroll across the state and around 100 people going from house to house talking with potential caucus goers. At the same time, they're laying down a foundation in other early states like New Hampshire and South Carolina.
It's one thing to say you support a candidate. It requires real grassroots organizational strength to get those folks to show up on Monday night, January 15th, and caucus. And that's exactly what we plan on doing.
In Des Moines, Skylar Tulal reporting. Donald Trump's back in Iowa, stopping first in Ankeny with another commit to caucus event. He's straying from his typical larger rallies with a more intimate gathering here at Whiskey River. Gene Williamson, a caucus captain for frontrunner Donald Trump, says he's the only Republican who can beat the Democrats in 2024, calling on the GOP to stop fighting amongst themselves.
Reynolds and DeSantis both need to back Trump, because right now all they're doing is separating the party. In 2028, they're going to be the dream team. Trust me. In 2024, we need Trump.
Supporters highlight Trump's track record as the former president and say his past experience is why they're caucusing for him. When you were making that decision to, caucus for Trump, was it always Trump? Was there, potentially somebody else that you were looking at?
Yeah, I was interested in Ron DeSantis. For a short time, I was interested in Vivek. Kind of settled back to where Trump, at least Trump is a known entity of, what he does and how he does it.
While Trump aims to rally support behind him, he wasn't the only candidate looking to gain Iowa votes. Ron DeSantis is celebrating in Jasper County as he completes the full Grassley, visiting all of Iowa's 99 counties. Dave Walford is still deciding who to caucus for, but says he likes what he sees from the Florida governor.
Well, I think he's a good, strong Republican. We need somebody that's a fighter, and whomever gets elected is going to have problems, and they need to be able to solve problems.
Hoping to sway voters like Walford, who may still be undecided, DeSantis says the U.S. Department of Agriculture should be Iowa's to handle, as he proposes moving power out of D.C. Recently moving to Iowa, Ross McGregor says his first time caucusing, he'll be writing down DeSantis' name.
I gave Trump a chance, but I just don't think he did most of the things that I really cared about. He didn't cut spending, address the debt. DeSantis in Florida, with a kind of a slim majority in his first term, did everything he said he was going to do. He didn't kind of have excuses for why things didn't get done.
In central Iowa, Skylar Tulal reporting.